Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is a special episode of the 215 Boys, Dallas Cowboy Eagles Week, Round 2, Act 2. My name is Paul Spencer from them 215 Boys. Right next to me is Joe Solom from the Sully Squad. Right next to Joe is, oh my God, how do I explain this guy? Rob Maaddi, AP Pro Football Podcast. Rob Maaddi, the legend. Of course, we have Dave, the showstopper from the 215 Boys. How we doing, fellas? It's Round 2, Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys. What could be better?
Yeah, it's going to be a good one, man. I'm excited for this Sunday night. It's going to be like I did not want to see this game be meaningless, and it certainly got a whole lot of playoff ramifications. Like, it sucks when these two teams play and one of them's great and one of them isn't, and one of them has things, whatever it is, all wrapped up. It's happened a few times in the past few years where the Eagles got nothing to play for, or whatever it may be. But no, this means a whole lot to both teams. So Sunday Night Football. It's going to be exciting, and I wish I was there. I was going to go, and then last minute they didn't make that happen.
Wow, Rob, you're 100% right. This game is meaningful. Not meaningless, meaningful. Of course, popcorn worthy. Not 10-2, 9-3 here. Playoff implications on the line. Even though Dallas wins, of course, there's still the half game back, of course, but it means something late in the season, and that's what I want to see. Everybody's healthy, almost 100% on both sides of the ball. It's anybody's game, but let's talk about this game. Let's talk about it. I'm ready.
Get your popcorn ready, fellas.
To touch on what you said too about the Sunday night aspect, I mean, I'd be willing to bet when the ratings come out, this will probably be the highest rated game of the whole season. I mean, if you think about it, Dallas, Philadelphia, I mean, the Eagles have the three highest rated games between the Kansas City game, and I believe the Buffalo game was high rated, and now you combine the fan bases of Dallas with the draw of the Eagles. I mean, this NBC's got to be loving this matchup.
No doubt, and I was surprised the first matchup wasn't a Sunday night game, but then realized they can't get them all. Sunday Night Football, They got to leave some games for Fox, so they can't have everyone, and that one came down to the wire. Cowboys should have won that game. First down at the 6-yard line, and then self-destruct the way that played out. So I think that's got to give them some confidence going into this week, knowing that they almost went into Philly and beat the Eagles in their house. But yeah, no doubt everybody's going to be watching this game. Sunday Night Football, these two teams, these two fan bases, this is what it's all about. It's December, and it matters. Shaq Leonard, the new addition to the Eagles, going to see exactly what this Cowboys rivalry, what this means right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Philadelphia finally got Shaq 20 years later.
But they had Charles Shackelford, right? They did have.
That's right, Charles Shackelford. Yeah,
Charles Shackelford. I remember Barkley saying they got me the wrong Shaq. Yeah.
Hey, Rob, I want to ask you something with Shaquille Leonard here. Indiana's let him go. The Colts let him go for a reason. 2 back surgeries, of course. Not the Shaq Leonard, the all-pro level here. Been out, 3 or 4 weeks here coming to the Eagles. What is he going to look like? I understand he's going to be better than any linebacker that the Eagles have on the roster right now, an upgrade. But where's he going to fit in this week? I know he's going to be on a play count. How do you feel about that? And what kind of Leonard are we going to get this week?
Yeah, well, he's certainly not going to be the all-pro caliber guy. He was the first 3 out of 4. His first 3 seasons in the NFL. He's had the surgeries. He's certainly – there's going to be a drop-off. He's still only 28 years old. Let's not make it seem like this guy's 52 years old and he's done playing football and he's ready for retirement home, right? He's still a quality football player, and what he brings to the table from a leadership standpoint, from an awareness, from – the mental side of how to play that position, how to be a playmaker, I think can rub off and help some of those guys in the locker room and in that linebackers team meeting. So I'm not going to expect him to go out there and wreak havoc the way Shaq Leonard did 2-3 years ago. But I still think, given what the Eagles had in the linebacker room, obviously they cut Christian Ellis to make room for him, and Christian got picked up, by the way, by the Patriots. So he's not coming back through the practice squad, but it's an upgrade. I don't know how much he's going to be able to impact this particular game this quickly, but there's familiarity, obviously, with him and Nick Sirianni. He knows what kind of guy he is. Everybody who talks about him, who knows him, who played with him, raves about his leadership qualities. The Eagles have a lot of leaders, especially on the defensive side. They got guys who've been there for a long time, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and obviously it doesn't hurt to add another voice, to bring someone else in. And he's hungry. He hasn't won a championship. He hasn't won in the playoffs. He doesn't know what that feels like, what that success tastes like. So I think he's going to be determined to try and, one, prove Indianapolis wrong. I still got a lot of tread left in my tires, and I'm going to go out there and be an impactful player. And, you don't have to look too far to be motivated when you look across the field and see guys on Dallas like Micah Parsons and what he can do and how he can impact the game at the line. Now he's more of an edge rusher now than he is at linebacker, but still, I think Shaq Leonard's going to want to make a statement and make it quickly. So it's certainly, to me, it's a no lose situation for the Eagles. True. You upgrade at that position. You bring in a guy who's had tremendous success. They haven't had a guy since Jeremiah Trotter, guys, at the linebacker position. So I think it's certainly worth taking a shot at him.
Hey, Rob, real quick, with the coach letting him go, do you think were you surprised that he actually went to Philly and not go to Dallas like we thought that was going to happen?
Well, there's a relationship, right, with Sirianni there, and I think that certainly was a big factor in it. And the Eagles need more help at that position, and Dallas has got some capable players at the linebacker spot. So I think he wanted to go to a team that he knew the coach, he knew what he's all about, and the coach knows him, and that helps. That really does help in this league. So good for the Eagles. They were able to make that happen.
Yeah, very surprising.
On both fronts, right? It's good for them to get them and then keep them away from the Cowboys.
True.
Plus, if you think about it too, like Dallas's defense is already playing well. I mean, what's the number one story? The whole nation saw the Eagles' weakness at linebacker. So now if Shaq Leonard comes here, he plays well, he totally rebuilds his value, because if the Eagles go on a run, well, everybody's going to point to Shaq Leonard making a huge difference on the defense.
Yeah, and the Eagles got their defense got it handed to them by Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Debo, George Kittle, and that 49ers offense. And I think the 49ers really know how to exploit teams that are weak at those positions, weak at linebacker. Now, Dallas has been doing pretty well on defense. What did Seattle score on them? They won, but I think they gave up 30-plus against Seattle last week. And some of that, they had a big lead and whatever. But he certainly, if he can come in and make a difference on this defense a week after what they did and how they were kind of just thoroughly outplayed, 2 3-and-outs to open a game and then 6 straight touchdown drives. Like, it doesn't get any more dominant than that by San Francisco. And the Eagles need some help there. And certainly we'll see what Shaq can do this week. And going, like, I would anticipate he's going to get more comfortable, learn the defensive scheme, try and fit in, and he's going to get better and better as the season wears on, to where he can hit his stride as they head into January and for them potentially February.
Gotcha. I mean, it's tough to learn. It's tough to learn the defense in a week. Do you think that's going to make a difference within coming Sunday?
Yeah, there's got to be packages and snap counts and plays. Like, you're not gonna know every nuance of a defense. But I think linebacker's one of those positions where he can step in there and certainly insert himself. Make his presence felt on at least a handful of plays.
Gotcha. Now, Rob, I know you cover all NFL. Of course, you watch pretty much every game, every snap count, every play. How do you line up against CeeDee Lamb? We've seen what CeeDee Lamb has been doing this entire season here. Every team that he plays in the slot, he's just a mismatch on the field anywhere. How do the Eagles compensate having CeeDee Lamb moving across the field, slot, outside, left, right? It doesn't matter, even in the backfield quite a few times this year.
Yeah, he's a handful, and he's tough to cover. And the Eagles are going to have to figure out, did they have Bradley Roby when they played – back in November? I can't remember, but
I don't think so. But go ahead.
But yeah, up again, Bradbury, Slay, whoever it is, they all struggled against him, and you're going to need to help out a little bit, and it's going to be I think it's going to start with getting some pressure up front, because he's so good that you got to figure out a way to put some heat on Dak Prescott to make it to where he don't have time to go through his – if CD, like, for whatever reason, isn't the number one read, isn't the top, to get to that progression, to get to where you're throwing to CD or however it may seem. Obviously, he's going to be targeted double-digit times. But the Eagles got it. This is a game where the Eagles need their defensive line to step up and to put some pressure on the quarterback and trying to generate some turnovers that way. We've seen that happen in the past. Now, their Cowboys are on a roll offensively. Dak's been tremendous. He's played himself into the MVP conversation. Of course, they haven't beat anybody yet with a winning record currently. Seattle had a winning record till they beat them. They're 500. Now it'll be under 500 after they lose to San Francisco this week. So this is Dallas's opportunity to beat a team, and everybody can shut up then about, well, you didn't beat anybody who matters. You didn't beat anybody who's any good. This is it, and this is their opportunity. And they've been scoring points in the high 30s and in the 40s and averaging whatever it is, and 7, 8, what are they? 9 wins, 7 of those 9 by 20 or more points. Like, they're not just beating teams, they're dominating teams, but they had those slip ups, and that's hurting them because now they got to play from behind. They got to figure out a way to come back and catch up to the Eagles. But if they're going to win, CeeDee Lamb's going to have a big game. Like, they're not going to beat the Eagles if CeeDee's like 4 catches for 49 yards. He's going to have to be 7, 8, 9, over 100, 1 or 2 touchdowns. But I think Brandon Cooks has really become a bigger factor as the season has gone on. Brandon Cooks is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league. Wherever he goes, he catches at that, and he's been on a bunch of teams. Wherever he goes, he's at 1,000+ yards. I still remember like how Malcolm Jenkins changed the entire Super Bowl, knocking him out of that game. I don't know why I was at Tom Brady's podium. I just remember asking him after that the impact of losing Brandon Cooks, and he was like, a big time game changer, right? You lose a guy like that, and now all of a sudden things, and he still threw for over 500 yards, but the Eagles found a way. Nick Foles found a way to win that game. But that's just how good Brandon Cooks is, and I think he's getting more comfortable, and they're figuring out how to use him more in that offense. There were some plays I've seen over the past. Like I probably watched the Cowboys for at least 5-6 weeks in a row. Like when I'm home, when I'm not at a game, you got the main TV, then you got the tablet, you got this, you got that. They've been on the main for most of the time, so I get to hear Dak Prescott say, "Here we go," 1,000 times. Here we go.
You got to say it right, Rob. Here we go.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna start doing that to my daughter, so they go, "It's time to go to sleep."
Hey, Rob, real quick, I want to ask you a question with Cowboy offense, real quick. Is it more McCarthy? Is it more Schott, or is it together? Do you think that's rolling this good so far?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I said with McCarthy and with Schottenheimer together, is this Cowboy offense rolling as good as it was, as good now, or do you think it's actually better now, or before it was in the beginning of the season?
Oh no, I think they've gotten better and better. I remember talking to Tony Pollard early in the season about this offense and the difference going to Mike McCarthy from Kellen Moore from last year, and he said McCarthy's more demanding. McCarthy also is like there's the details within each play are a whole lot more. There's just more details, and it just requires more patience. And I think that kind of they started off to where they won their first 2 games, but the offense wasn't. It was the defense that was like generating a ton of turnovers and some points, but the offense wasn't clicking. And they've gotten better and better to where they're on a roll now. And that's why before we even started the show, I was wondering if McCarthy isn't there for whatever, he had the appendix removed, that if he's not able to be on the sideline calling plays, I think that's a drop off because they're in such sync, in such a rhythm right now. And you hear Dak talk about that week after week, how much of a difference it's been and where they are and how comfortable they are, that if he doesn't end up being able to come back and bounce back and be on the sidelines and call the plays, then I think that's going to impact the Cowboys this week. Hopefully not, because I'd like to see both teams at their very best. But they're rolling, man, and it's going to be tough. Like the Eagles just got steamrolled by San Francisco, and they need to figure it. Like in a way, that may have been a good thing for them to humble them, to make them realize like you're not going to roll to 16-1. You're not just going to like get to the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship. There's some areas and some flaws and some weaknesses that teams have been able to exploit, and maybe Dallas looks at that as a blueprint too as well. And as we're talking, your boy Zeke just scored a touchdown.
Did he?
There you go. Who needed you needed the points. You got them.
I need the points. All right, I'll take it.
There you go. Rob, I agree with you what you said. McCarthy's not there. It's a familiar voice in Dak's ear. Listening to the microphone there, just like a quarterback in the offensive line with the cadence. You feel that familiar voice. That goes a long way too. A lot of people don't think about that. But I want to ask you real quick. We have around another 10 minutes here, Rob. I want to take it off of football real quick. I actually read your book. I hate to say this, but I read Birds of Prey, even though it's an Eagles book here. I read it. What made you want to write that book, honestly?
Well,
I know your faith. I know your faith.
It was unique team. I had covered the Eagles for 20 years to that point almost, or 17. What was that? Wow, that was 2017. At that point, only 18 years and 17 years, and just had some relationships. And that year I had launched Faith on a Field show, and I had never seen a team just so close together, the bond, the brotherhood on that team, and the Christian faith, and like guys getting baptized in the cold tub at the NovaCare facility. Like that's to me was just wild. And they win the Super Bowl, and I didn't have that in my mind to write a book about them till the night that they won the Super Bowl. And somebody says, "Hey, you should think about writing a book on this team." I'm like, "Huh." Maybe. It's like 2:00 in the morning. I've done interviews with wherever I've got all this stuff going on. I'm like, yeah, maybe. But then I'm like, everybody's going to want to do a book. I got to do it different. If I'm going to write about what made this team different, it was their faith. And it was that team. It was Carson. It was Zach Ertz. It was Maragos. It was Nick Foles. It was Jordan Hicks. It was all those guys. And that was a special team, a special bond. And I know from conversations with some of the people, and like there's believers and a lot of Christians in the NFL, and there are on this Eagles current team, but that one, the depth and the maturity in their walk, in their faith talk, in their journey is pretty special. And some guys just aren't there yet at a young age, and I can't fault them. I wasn't there till I was in my 30s too.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Joe, Dave?
I'm good, Joe.
No, I was going to say, no, I mean, I read the book and obviously as an Eagles fan, I mean, that you couldn't hit it. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, the next man up mentality. I mean, they never lost faith. I mean, I'll admit when Carson Wentz got hurt, I was texting some of my friends. I'm like, man, are we ever going to win a Super Bowl? The season's over. What are we going to do? And look what happened. I mean, Nick Foles hops in there, and and Malcolm Jenkins said, what was that? We all we need, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you look at that team. I mean, Jason Peters starting left tackle, Jordan Hicks, probably arguably best linebacker at the time.
Darren Sproles.
Yeah, Darren Sproles, all those guys, you know what I mean? And
even the kicker, Caleb Sturgis, they lost him week 1, and that good for them because they ended up discovering Jake Elliott. But one by one, like you're losing the captain on offense when Wednesday defense, special teams, you lose all these guys. But it was pretty special when initially when Carson went down, some of those guys they started feeling that way, like, oh, what now? What next? Until they were reminded, like, look who's stepping in. Like, not only is it a backup quarterback, but it's a guy who's been here,
right?
And it's a guy who, for the book purposes, for the brotherhood of the Christian brotherhood on that team, like Nick was one of the leaders of that previously before he went to the Rams and the Chiefs and then came back, and now it was kind of like, all right, the baton was passed, but now to complete it, here comes Nick. And he's going to come in, and he's just got to steer the ship. And I thought they'd still get to the Super Bowl and lose with Foles, but certainly it worked out a whole lot better than that for the Eagles.
Ironically, too, I mean, obviously Carson Wentz was MVP candidate that year. I don't want to crap on him. He had a great year. But, you could argue that, Nick Foles had a certain it factor, and maybe they don't win the Super Bowl if that doesn't happen, because Foles, you couldn't have played better than Foles. And I remember Foles as a rookie, like, I mean, obviously he had his faults, but I remember one game in particular, his rookie year, he started at Tampa Bay, and they were terrible. Andy Reid's last year, and Foles, he marched them down the field on 2 drives at the end. And I just remember thinking to myself, there's something about this kid. He's not the most talented guy in the world, but he's got a certain like calmness and like an it factor. And it really played out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then the following year, when he had 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in the regular season, 2 more touchdowns in the playoff, 29-2, Pro Bowl MVP, until Brady broke his record, best touchdown interception ratio. To me, that calmness, that poise, and that confidence is what separated him from any other backup who could step into that position. I cannot underestimate, undersell, understate how important it was Nick's faith in that journey, because for him it wasn't about football. It was about knowing who he is, being comfortable who he is, his identity being in the Lord, and just going out there, win or lose, he's okay. He's going to survive. And when you have that mindset, as opposed to someone who puts everything into their accomplishments, puts everything into being the best, being number one, and if I don't succeed, I'm a failure. If you put everything into that and you have nothing else to fall back on, it's going to be hard for you. It's going to be hard for you to have success. It's going to be hard for you to handle adversity. It's going to be hard for you to handle failure. That's not Nick. He'd been through all the ups and the downs, and I think he was perfectly situated for the Eagles in that moment. And obviously, we know how important it is to have a good backup around the NFL. Look at the Jets. What a disaster they've been this year, because they don't have a real backup quarterback. And now they're going back to Zach Wilson. It's just they got a talented team, and they're a mess.
I was sorry, Paul. I was amazed about all the Jets games this year. How all the night games they've had. Is that because of Rodgers?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think if the later ones in the season would have been flexed out by now.
Yeah.
Right.
Rob, I have 2 questions before we get your final prediction here. Number one, on November 23rd, you met with Emmitt Smith, correct?
Yeah.
Wow.
How was that? That's one of my favorite players, of course, but how was his reaction when he said finally put Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor? I mean, how was his reaction when he said that? Because a lot of people have great opportunities to play with a legend like that. Some people have hatred toward the guy. I love the guy for what he was with Dallas. What was his perception when he spoke to you about that?
Yeah, it's funny because I interviewed Emmitt, sat down with him, and it was probably a week or 2 before Jerry Jones made that announcement. And I asked him a question about the Cowboys and the patience that Jerry's had. They haven't won and whatever. And his answer, he just went down that road and tried to say, hey, well, Jimmy Johnson isn't in the Ring of Honor, and maybe it's bad karma for Jerry, and he's got to do what's right, and he's got to put him in the Ring of Honor. And then a week or 2 later, you hear he's going to do that. But Emmitt really felt like, obviously, they all do. And we all know Jimmy Johnson deserved to be in that. He deserved to be in it the year after he left. While he was still in Miami coaching, he deserved to be in the Ring of Honor. But I also asked Emmitt in that conversation. I'm going to probably air that full interview this week on Faith on the Field, by the way. And about playing for Jimmy, and as much as he loved him, respected him, and gives him a ton of credit for being able to, they win the Super Bowls. They don't win them without Jimmy. He said, I wouldn't have been able to play 15 years if Jimmy had stayed in Dallas, because the way he wore you down in practice, my body couldn't have sustained that. So he loves him. He respects him. He gives him all the credit in the world, but he also feels like his career longevity is attributed to the fact that Jimmy left, and everyone else who came in, Barry Switzer and other guys, don't beat up on their in practice. Now, obviously, things have changed now in the NFL, right, guys? You're not doing 2 days, and there's all this different stuff. But I thought that was pretty interesting too from Emmitt.
Great. Okay.
So Rob, is the curse lifted?
Now it is, right? Now it is.
Okay. I'm asking. Is it finally lifted? I mean,
Emmitt said, how ironic. Emmitt says it to me, and then next 2 weeks later, Jerry announces it. And maybe I'm pretty sure Emmitt wasn't just saying it to me. I'm sure I'm sure Jerry heard, or he said, Emmett probably said it to Jerry, and I'm sure Troy and Michael Irvin said it to Jerry, like it's time to stop this and get him in there where he belongs. So what's it going to be? The Lions game? He's going to go in.
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and that, I mean, they got the Lions, they got
the Bills, Miami, and the Commanders.
But Rob, announcing it on the road in Carolina, how ironic was that?
That was weird. I missed the announcement, and I obviously caught up on it like 10, 15, 20 minutes later, and I'm like, why? That's just odd. And,
yeah, I thought so.
You know, Jimmy was there, right? So sure. I get because Jimmy was in Carolina. I don't know.
I can't have the karma end because I'll put it in perspective. I do a show called The Old School, right? And we've done like, Wilt Chamberlain, Iverson Sixers. Well, Paul and I are going to do the 90s Cowboys, in particular their rivalry with San Francisco, which obviously pains me as an Eagles fan, but it's a great story. So selfishly, I don't want the karma to end because I want to do the show to let me relive his glory. You know what I'm saying?
Rob, the last question I have for get your final score is: I hear one of your daughters are like killing it on the flag football field. I watched these videos. I believe it's Melina, if I'm correct.
Yes. She's going to appreciate the shout out too.
This girl, I tell you what, if you guys get a chance, please watch Rob's, Facebook videos everywhere. This girl, Melina, is playing against boys, and I tell you what, she looks like Lamar Jackson and like Tom Brady, like wherever she's at on the field. I tell you, Rob, my question to you is it you? Is it your wife? Where does she get this ability from? Because I don't know which way it goes, but this girl is insanely good.
It's definitely not my wife who hates sports, but is starting to like them. I played a lot of ball, played college baseball, played football and tore my ACL playing football, by the way, which was that's why my wife doesn't like me playing sports anymore. But man, this kid did both, and she's doing great on the offensive side. Alexia's doing great on the defensive. She just loves to rush the quarterback. She's a pass rusher, Alexia. Nice. So she's just going right after. She had she forced a pick six and she forced an intentional grounding. Melina had like an 85-yard touchdown run and had like another 75-yard touchdown run. And I'm like,
wow.
I want to put you in a league with girls where, right, like you're just – I hate when then the next time like a boy tries to tackle her instead of pulling her flag and my wife's going nuts on the sideline like, dude, what are you doing? Pull the girl's flag. Like, I don't want that to happen. I don't want you to get hurt. They're still 10 years old. They're like, no, we want the competition. So they want to keep playing against the boys.
Love it. That's great.
I tell you, watching those videos, I tell you, I don't know where she got these moves from, but it's like playing, it's like PlayStation 5, Rob. I tell you, though, some of those moves, insane down the sidelines. And,
I love it. I love it. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, how about we get some final scores, Rob? When you were in the Slay Squad, you did say the Eagles were going to lose, Cowboys win the division. I know the game's at stake now. I know the compensation between every year a different team wins it, but let's talk about this week, 10-2 versus 9-3. Let's give final predictions before we get you out of here.
So I got to pick every game on Wednesday for the AP, and I put out my picks every week on a Wednesday, and yesterday I put them out there, and I had the Cowboys 27-26 winning this one late. I don't know if it's a field goal by Aubrey. I don't know if it's a touchdown at the end, but I think it's going to come down to the wire. I think the Cowboys win. The Eagles cover the 3.5. So I played it like that. I had Dallas winning and Seattle covering last week, and I got that. I got that win last week that way. So I'm doing it here, but I still think, despite the Eagles losing this week and the Cowboys winning, it's going to be tough for Dallas to get that division title. They're going to have to win out and hope that the Eagles lose again. And outside of Seattle, like, is Tommy DeVito going to beat the Eagles? Kyler Murray and he's back, and Arizona looks different. Is Jonathan Gannon, like, has he got any reason for revenge? The Eagles should want to beat him even more for how he handled the Super Bowl week and the week leading up to it and everything that transpired. So I think Dallas finds a way to get this W. They're so good at home. They're on a roll. The Eagles defense is reeling a little bit. But then I still think the Eagles find a way to win a division. But where this hurts Philly is it gives San Francisco an opportunity by winning out to get the number 1 seed. So maybe San Fran gets the 1 seed, and this is only number 2 of 3. Because if the Eagles end up with that 2 seed, and they might have to. And Dallas is going to end up then being a 5. They could face each other at some point again.
Agree. Yeah, even if Dallas does win this game, it's still a half a game plus. The division record, you guys hold the better conference record. Of course, we head to head, we're fine. Same, but that conference record goes a long way. But the strength of schedule plays in the Eagles' favorite, of course. The Bills, the Lions, and the Dolphins with the Commanders as well too. So it falls into place for the Eagles.
So wait, Paul, you're a Cowboy fan or Eagle fan?
Oh, come on now, Rob. What do you think, Rob?
Just Cowboy fan, clearly.
Of course.
Right.
I keep it real though. I honestly think the Eagles will win the division. I hate saying it. I keep it real, but the strength of schedule going down the line, I have to give it to the Eagles because you know what, Miami, they have. Everybody talks about Cowboys playing a lesser schedule. Miami's the same way too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the Bills, we don't know what the Bills are. We don't know what they are too. I mean, the Lions are up and down. They can score with us too, and I hate to say it, but I think the Eagles win this division by 1 game, honestly. And it might come down to week 16.
That said, I still think like Dallas can lose this game and they can still get to the Super Bowl. Dallas can, depending on how the seeds play out. If you get to 5, you might as well have a bye because you're going to play the NFC South winner.
That's true. Good point. Good point.
So they're going to beat Atlanta. They're going to beat Tampa. Whoever the main goal of that first game is don't get anybody hurt, right? They can win that 5-4 matchup, 52-10, and then it just depends on how it falls. How are they going to go to Philly the following week? Are they going to go to San Fran? What that looks like, but
hey Rob, real quick, who wins that division by any chance?
Which one?
The Central.
Oh man, yeah. Oh, the old Central, the South.
Yeah, South. I'm sorry, yeah, that's what I meant.
I think because Atlanta's got the tiebreakers right now. I think Atlanta's going to win that. Tampa Bay's got some talent. Their coach, Todd Bowles, never should have been put in that position. There's some guys who are better coordinators than they are head coaches. When I saw him last year coaching scared with he played for a tie with the ball in Tom Brady's hands. Yeah. When you do that as a head coach, I'm out on you. That's it. Forget it. Like Tom's got the ball in his hands. They're in Cleveland. And it's the final minute, and he played for overtime, and they ended up losing. Like, dude, you got the GOAT. You got to play for the W. You can't be afraid that Tom Brady's going to throw an interception. So I've been out on Todd Bowles, and for that reason, I think the Falcons win, and then you'll end up seeing Cowboys or Eagles, Falcons.
No, I'm saying somebody's got to win that division. I was just wondering who you thought was going to win it.
Well, I'll tell you, I disagree with what you said there real quick. I'm sorry taking you further here, but right. I disagree with what you said. I think the only way the Cowboys can win a Super Bowl if they get the number 1 seed, because when they play on artificial turf, they are a different team. That speed, to me, when the Cowboys play on turf, it reminds me of the Rams going back into the greatest thing on turf. That's what the Cowboys do. On artificial turf, in grass, cold weather, it's a different story to me.
They're not going to get the 1 though. They're not like.
I know that. Yeah,
San Francisco's going to have to lose, and I think San Fran can win out. So
yes,
it's going to be hard. I picked Dallas to get to the Super Bowl against Cincinnati. So I like to be right.
Me too. I hope you're right.
Oh, wow.
I like to be right. I had Dallas. Cincinnati ain't going there with Jake Browning, but how about them Cowboys?
Hey,
wow. I'm shocked, Rob. I am so shocked you said that.
Let me find a way to timestamp that right now. But Rob, before we let you go,
Rob, the picks, man, week to week, I'm just rooting to be right. That's the only rooting interest I have is because I pick games on and pick everything. Like you got for credibility purposes. You want to be right. I'm like 40 games over 500 straight up, but only like 6. I was over 20 against the spread. Now I'm like 16 games over 500 against.
Rob, real quick, how many games did you get right last week?
Terrible week. I was 4-9 last straight. Against the spread, I was 4-9 last week. So that's what knocked me from 22 games over against the spread to
okay.
Yeah, but I wanted to pick the Eagles. I wanted to pick the Niners all along. Until I saw the stupid line and the Eagles were underdogs. And I'm like, this is going to play out where Sirianni's going to play the underdog thing. And I flipped. I'm like, all right, since they're underdogs, I'm going to take the Eagles. And that beat me.
Gotcha. Well, Rob, you know what? Before we, get your shout outs out real quick, but how about next week? Can you send me, DM me all your picks next week? Because we do an NFL pick'em show every week, myself and Dan, and we go head to head for the whole season. Maybe we'll have you as a guest on there one time if you can show up. If you can, privilege us with that time, or just have your picks on there. We'll put your picks as well on there.
All right, man. You got it.
Definitely. No, but hey, Rob, how about you give some shout outs before you get out? Where you're found, what's going on with you, where it can be seen?
Yeah, at Rob Maaddi on Twitter or X or whatever they call it, and all my stories, everything I do for APs on apnews.com, and obviously I got the Faith on the Field show, and like I just mentioned earlier, Emmett's going to be my guest this week, so I've had Emmett on, I've had Michael Irvin on. If you listen to the show, Dak Prescott introduces the program, so.
Wow.
If you're a Cowboy fan, you're not listening to Faith on the Field, man. Like you got a heavy Cowboy presence.
Yes.
Week in and week out.
Yep.
Wow.
That's why when I heard Jimmy on there, I was just like, wow, I got to bring this up here because it's not just, Faith on the Field. It's like Cowboy overload in certain ways here. It really is. Definitely is. Hey, Rob, I appreciate you hopping on, man. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas coming up to you and your family as well.
Thank you, guys.
Please, stay. My thing is, stay blessed to you and your family. So I appreciate you hopping on, brother.
Thank you, fellas. I appreciate it, and keep up the great work. Take it
Happy
easy.
holidays, Rob. Thanks.
You guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
Rob. Thank you.
We had a kid.
Wow, man, it's always good to hear somebody that watches every game. Like we watch games, but this guy Rob watches every damn snap of every game. How insane is that?
That's crazy. That's his job, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Joe, let's get into this game here. Now the gloves come off, brother. Now the gloves come off here.
Joe's living over here.
Now the gloves are off. Let's talk about this game really quick. Joe, I'll start with you. What are you scared of about this game? I know there's a little scared in there. I know there's a little, we're going to win this game, but let's keep it real. What's going on with this game, Joe?
God, scared. You know what? I'll tell you what. You ever see Bob? You ever see What About Bob? Where Bob Wiley's like afraid of everything. remember that, John? I actually.
What's his name? The guy from Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah, it's Bill Murray. Bill
Murray, right. Bill Murray. Yeah.
So, all right. So to quote Bob Wiley, I'm like quote unquote baby stepping this week, bro, because like. I don't know how the hell we're going to stop you guys. I mean, you brought up CeeDee Lamb. Very concerned. The first time we played y'all, Brandon Cooks hadn't been unlocked. Now Brandon Cooks is unlocked. Another thing. Now I don't know if this is anything, but I was on Twitter earlier. Darius Slay is not practicing. He's got a little bit of a knee issue. I think he's going to be fine. It could just be general maintenance. But I'll tell you, I mean, if Darius Slay isn't 100%, that's another worry. I mean, offensively, I'm not. Listen, you guys are very good defensively, but if Seattle could put 35 on you, I think the Eagles could put 30 on you as well. So offensively, I think the Eagles can score. But man, defensively, I don't know what the hell we're going to do because Dak Prescott's playing better than he's ever played in his life. I mean, he's playing. I mean, he's just. And in fact, Paul, you and I talked about. We all talked about this earlier in the year. We just assumed the Eagles had the edge at quarterback. And don't get me wrong, I'm still a Jalen Hurts guy, but I'm not so sure right now. I mean, Dak is playing Dak's probably playing at just as high, if not a higher level than Jalen Hurts is.
I agree with that. I mean, 100%. I mean, to me, Jalen Hurts is still elite to me, and both are really elite this year. I'm not even going to say anything bad about Jalen Hurts. But ever since that injury with Hurts' legs, the bone bruise or the RPO, when that's taken away and Hurts doesn't look to run first, that takes away a lot from his game. Sitting in the pocket. I go back to that game last week where he had time in that pocket. Those were coverage, incompletions. That defense did their job. Hurts doesn't look the same. And Dak on the opposite here, he's showing his legs. He can move the sticks too. That's something the last 2 years Dave and I bitched about all the time. We never seen him run anymore. He's running the ball, of course. And number one, he's not staring down that number one read. Yes, it's a Lamb, but man, he's finding Cooks. He's finding Ferguson. He's finding Pollard in open field. Everybody is doing their jobs. But the biggest thing, Joe, is to me, is healthy. Dallas is healthy at the right time. Before we were just like, oh shit, is he playing? Is he playing? Oh, he's not playing. He's not playing. But now it's a it's equal value, these two teams right now, honestly.
Yeah, and you brought up a guy right there, Ferguson. That's another concern of mine. I mean, we talked earlier. I mean, we Eagles signed Shaq Leonard. Okay, that's great, and I think he may pay. He could play dividends later in the year, but I don't know how effective he's going to be this particular week.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Sean Briggs says, if you're scared, get a dog. I'm scared. I'm not scared. Bring on Dallas. I have confidence somehow. Well, listen, I'm scared, and I just got a damn cat. Ask Steve Slothman, our Commander's host.
You got more than one cat. Come on now.
I got 2 cats. I'm scared. I'm scared being a Cowboy fan. So hey, I got to get a cat.
Hey, bro, I need a dog. I'm sitting here. I got Mr. Biggles. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, so honestly, you know what I'm seeing in Dak right now that's really surprising me? I'm seeing Dak rookie year Dak.
Yeah,
that's what I'm seeing. And it's, I mean, this is the 13-3 Dak that I saw back in 2016 Dak. Maybe it's me. That's what I see. I'm just saying, like he's running like crazy. He's throwing the ball like he was in 2016. I just see a lot of Dak. I don't know. Maybe it's me. But
hey, by the way, I have a question for you guys. You know how we on our chat, and especially last year, we would rip Mike McCarthy, but Mike McCarthy probably deserves some credit for this offense, don't you think?
I think so.
You know what? I was very going back 2 or 3 years ago. Matt and we used to argue all the time. He put it in my head like he was always wanting Mike McCarthy out. I wanted him in, the COVID year, whatever. But I got to give so much credit to Mike McCarthy versus Kellen Moore, the OC, because Kellen Moore's OC was 9,000 words for one freaking play.
Right.
Mike McCarthy took the verbiage down. Very simple. Hey, slant left, slant right. That's it. If you don't see it, here we go. Audible it out. Here we go again. Whatever. Find the play that you want. I give him so much credit because he's this verbal language with Dak Prescott. It's found a way where Dave, there it is. Dave, like Dave's back, but he found a way to relate to Dak Prescott, and it's opened up so many options for him. You're not putting too much on his plate this show. I give McCarthy, man. Listen,
see, you can say McCarthy all you want. I think Schottenheimer has a lot to do with it too. I just do.
A little, maybe a little.
I think Schatz is putting stuff in McCarthy's ear, and that's what's coming out. Like I think that's why this offense is rolling. Really,
well, I'll tell you what, Dave. This is a telling tape right here. If McCarthy's not on the field this week, it's going to be Shoddy coughing the play. So we'll see. We'll see if that.
Well, according to Dave Quinn, there's no way the big Irish man's not going to be there. So I think he'll be there. So we'll see.
I don't know. We'll see. If I don't think he's going to be on the field. He's probably going to be in the box, and there's a difference calling from the box.
I wouldn't put it past him, Paul. He might be there.
Hey, can I give you something that's given me a little bit of confidence, though?
What's that?
I have right here, John Hesse will be the head referee for Sunday's game against the Cowboys. The Philadelphia Eagles, listen, the Eagles are 7-0 when he referees, including last year's Sunday night game versus the Cowboys and the NFC Championship game. In those games, the Eagles were penalized just 6 times compared to 21 for their opponents.
Wow.
Let's go.
Dave, this week you can blame the refs all you want. Okay, after what Joe said.
After what he just said, I have no choice.
Yes. Ken Price says a good head coach listens to his coaches. That's one thing, 100%.
I agree with that. I just do.
I have 8 assistant coaches, and I listen to them. Like Dave, I told you last night, when I call plays, my defensive coordinator is on the other side. He runs over to me and says, hey, this is open. They're over pursuing. They're doing this. You have to listen to each other because head coach means nothing if your OCs and your defense coach are probably better than you.
So what's the point of having assistant coaches? They're there for a reason too, right?
Yeah, they carry my clipboard. No, I'm just
no, but hey, sure, right.
No.
All right, Coach, we hear you.
But Joe,
hey, guys, the Eagles have guys on their sidelines that are ready to throw bows. You know what I'm saying? We got enforcers on our sidelines. So watch out.
Yeah, that's true. But Joe, I want to talk about Shaquille Leonard, man. He was a prized possession. What you guys need, at
you mean Darius?
Whatever his damn name is, Shaquille O'Neal. You guys, I don't care who you guys get, you got him. But how does he go fit in this? Because he's going to be on a snap count. He's not going to be the All-Pro. But damn, you know what? He's better than any linebacker you have right now.
Yeah, listen, I agree, and you're right. He's going to be on a snap count. He'll be in certain situations because he's not going to know all the plays. I'll tell you the bigger impact, to be quite honest with you, is Zach Cunningham's coming back.
I was just going to ask you about that, Joe. Is he available Sunday or?
Yeah, no. It came out. I saw on. I'm going to keep calling it Twitter. I'm not calling it X, but whatever. But anyway, I saw on there that he said he's good to go, and that's going to be huge because not that he's the greatest linebacker, but you saw Morrow last week. I mean, Morrow was just, my God. I mean, they 49ers exploited him. And I'll tell you, that's one thing, the 49ers, I don't want to go on the Niners. Obviously we're doing Eagles, Cowboys, but just real quick, the Niners really, really were smart with how they built their teams. Like if you look around the NFL, a lot of teams kind of have gone cheap and say linebacker and safety. What are the Niners invested in? They invested in a guy like Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, McCaffrey, and they even have a fullback. So guess what? The Niners are cutting edge because they attack most of these teams' weaknesses.
And that's a great stamp, what you said there, Joe. A lot of teams, going back to the fullback, that was Dallas Cowboys days, with Moose Johnson there.
Yeah.
That's going back to the 80s and 90s physical football. Well, the Niners can beat you both ways. Husek, how many people really use a fullback? No, not a lot. Niners do when they have to. They can spread the ball out. They can run motion. They can play physical ball with Husek coming out of the backfield, pound and grind with CMC in front and back of them. Niners are built. They built this team, and you got to give credit to John Lynch 100% for rebuilding
that team's legit. That team's legit. Yeah. They're good. They're just good.
Yeah. But Joe, who matches up against CeeDee in this slot? I mean, that's going to be pick the poison. Who's going to be on him? Correct?
Well, we do have Bradley Roby this time. He was hurt the last time. So I think from what I remember, I think they matched Sidney Joe. I mean, Sidney
Brown.
Sidney Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep calling him Sidney Jones. That's the guy. That's the bust that we took from Washington. Note to Eagles. Don't. Note to Philadelphia teams. Don't draft anybody from University of Washington anymore. It never works out. Markel Fultz and Sidney Jones and Andre Dillard. So Washington, don't ever go there. But anyway,
okay.
We have Bradley Roby's going to help out. So he'll play, and I guess that's the hope, unless the only other way, because I don't think Slay's ever played the slot. I mean, I would say maybe try to match Slay up one-on-one against Lamb. But if he's not comfortable in the slot, then that's not going to work.
Gotcha. Agree. And on the opposite end, you guys get Dallas Goedert back this week.
Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, there were some, again, on like Twitter, there's, how guys break down film and stuff. And this one guy was breaking down a few plays where Jalen had a chance to throw to Jack Stoll, and like he just didn't pull the trigger. Now, you kind of wonder, is that a confidence thing? Like maybe if that's Goddard, he's pulling the trigger on some of those plays.
Right.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, there's the thing called, throw it up and let your best receiver go get the ball, high point the ball. And that lack of confidence sometimes, if Joe, you're my starting tight end and I don't have you out there and Dave comes in, I know what you can do. I don't know really what Dave can do. I know where I can throw the ball, let him go up and get it. That's something to me that it's a huge advantage for you guys because Dallas struggles. That's been the last 2 years, struggles with tight ends, no matter who they are. And it's always in the middle of the field. Look at Kittle. Look what he did, a hat trick against us, I mean, that's just one team, but Hawkinson, we're playing him in a couple weeks, of course. And it scares me of how these teams play. And it scares me 100%. That to me was where, if you guys facilitate your offense, running the ball first, but the main thing is, Joe, I don't know if you agree with this, you got to run the damn ball first if the Philadelphia Eagles, regardless of how many yards you get, you got to set up the run first.
Yeah, that's been like the little hidden secret that's been the Eagles' problem. The Eagles, the Eagles started off like the first 3-4 games really being successful running the football, just like last year. And the last, I want to say 7-8 games, I mean, the O-line is just not getting the push they were getting last year. And, it's not – I think I saw somewhere they're like 5th in the league in rushing attempts. So, I know there was a fan out there holding the sign that says run the ball.
Yeah, I saw that.
But the bottom line is, though, they're still 5th in rushing attempts. I think last week's game is a little misleading because the Niners had the ball the whole second quarter, and they had the ball good. The Eagles had the ball a lot in the first quarter, but the rest of the game, the Niners kind of dominated a lot of the ball, and so it's hard to run the ball.
Didn't the Niners have like -6 or something in the first quarter, something like that, -5 or something?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and not getting touchdowns in the red zone, that was key. That's where Dallas Cowboys would help in the red zone.
Right. Sure.
Agree with that 100%. Yeah. Sean says, give me your star player, offensive team for your respected teams. I'm going Slim Reaper and Reddick. Joe, what about for your Eagles? Who do you give that to?
I'm actually going Josh Sweat. I think Sweat matches. I think Sweat has a big game. He makes a big play or two. He made a big play against you guys down in Dallas last year too. And then I'm going AJ Brown. I think this is an AJ Brown week.
See, I think it's a Devontae Smith game, to be honest with
you. Okay. Dave, what about you for the Cowboys?
CeeDee Lamb, of course. I got Lamb.
Who else?
I'm going to say Lamb, and I'm going to say I'll say Ferguson has a big day too.
Nobody on defense?
Defense-wise, that's tough. I would love to see D-Law have a good day. I really would. Just get to Hurts a couple times. Make him rush.
I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb, of course. I think he's their best player, of course. And on defense, I got to stay DeRon Bland because he's going to be up for a hell of a day guarding Devontae Smith.
Well, of course, that's obvious.
AJ Brown, so he has to step up for this week too.
To me, I think D-Law has a good day.
Yep. And
he's the kind of guy. I mean, the Eagles could get 150 yards receiving on him, but then again, he can make a pick six to win the game. You know what I mean? That's what.
Right. Exactly, Jeff. Right.
Big about Bland. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the great thing about Bland is, I hate saying this, but the best thing to happen for the Cowboys, nation, was seeing Trayvon Diggs go down because we wouldn't see Bland on his field at all. He was the third guy, fourth guy down the roster. He would have got no playing time. Preseason, he played well, got this, starting nod. And the way he comes in, he is like a Trayvon Diggs. He's a ball hawk, but he doesn't jump the ball at the wrong times. He reads progressions, coming from Fresno State where he played. Ball hawk, read it great. But then again, you have to have that camaraderie with the safeties. And that's what scares me too, with Jordan Lewis, Donovan Wilson not finding the field. And hell, I don't even know where Malik Hooker is this year. That's what kills
where's
me.
Malik Hooker?
Where Devontae Smith can burn Gilmore, which we talked about last night, Dave. He can burn Gilmore at any time. That speed there. A.J. Brown's physical. And if he matches up on Gilmore, it could be A.J. Brown all day because Gilmore sucks when he plays a physical receiver.
Yeah. Well, he plays, 10 yards off the receiver, too, a lot of times.
That's the thing. Well, you have to when you have to manipulate.
Well, you don't want to get beat over the top, though,
Well, then, these wide receivers are no joke. Devontae Smith probably has the best arms in the league. He can catch anything, anywhere. Soft as cushion.
That's what scares me on their offense. Devontae Smith is the guy.
When you give guys 10 yards off the ball, you give them 10 yards off the ball. They're smart enough. Jalen Hurts is there like, oh, shit. He's playing 10 yards off the ball. We're 3rd and 7. Brother, this run a 5-yard slant, easy pitch and go. Yak yards all the way. That's where Dallas has to be more. They can't play. They can't play not to lose. They have to play to win.
Well, I think Dan Quinn's got something up. He talked this morning. I was watching his press conference, so we'll see.
You can talk what you want. You better show up on the field this week, brother. That's all I'm going to say. But how about before we get out of here? How about we talk about some final predictions here? And how about we give me your final predictions? And how about we could do one bold prediction this week? One bold. I'm not talking, this guy's going to score a touchdown. I want some this dude's going to be 485 yards passing. I want some bold predictions this week. So, Dave, I'll let you go first, since Joe's outnumbered here.
Great. You want my score prediction first? Is that what you're saying?
Whatever you want to do. You want to give me a bold prediction? You want to give me a score prediction?
My bold prediction. I think Dak throws 3 touchdowns. Call day.
That's your bold prediction. Dak throws 3 touchdowns. Okay.
Yeah.
Dak 3 touchdowns. What's the score, Dave?
I got 31. I got 31-21 Cowboys.
31-21 Cowboys. And bold prediction, Dak 3 TDs. How many yards with that? You got to give me some yards with that too, Dave.
I'll say 299 and 3 touchdowns.
You can't even give my boy 300? One more damn yard, Dave?
299.
Wow,
he had 2. Yeah, I think so.
299. Sorry, Dak, you didn't get 300 this week, brother. But
sorry, 299.
Yeah, what's your score? And give me that bold prediction from you, brother.
All right. So, first off, Dak could throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think Ray Charles could do that against our defense right now.
I'm just saying. You said bold predict. Well, I went with what I got.
But anyway, all right. I'll give you one. The Eagles really haven't been doing the read option as much. Jalen Hurts hasn't been running as much. I'm going to say they need this game. They need to get off the schneid. Jalen Hurts rushes for 125 yards.
Ooh, I like that.
Jalen Hurts, whatever Jalen Hurts' over on rushing is, I think you go with that. I think he also rushes for 2 touchdowns and he throws for 2 touchdowns.
That's throws for 2? Wow.
I think it's a high scoring game. I mean, we'll get to predictions in a little bit, but I mean that's my bold prediction. I think Jalen knows that Dak's over. I mean, I don't think he's a selfish player. I don't think he really cares about the MVP, but let's keep it real. There's still personal competition, and he knows the whole country's talking right now about Dak Prescott. I think he wants to go out there and ball out.
Well, Joe, just to talk about over and under, his over and under is 36 yards.
That's it. I would go. I think honestly, I think that's the bet of the week.
I think that's a book at line. Yeah, I think that is.
There's no way this. They can't keep just dropping him back in that pocket and just playing this vanilla offense. I think there's no way they're not going to do read options, and he's going to keep the ball alive.
But do you think that bone bruise comes into play a little bit, where it's like in his head, like, I'm not going to run the ball?
I think he looks a little better though. I mean, I know he's not running much, but to me, when he does run, he looks a little better than he did about a month ago.
Wow. I'm just writing these down. Richio says Bradbury 2 picks. Okay.
Bradbury 2 picks?
Yeah, 2 picks. All right, my bold prediction is this. Okay, you're going to take away CeeDee Lamb. Okay, you take away CeeDee Lamb. What does Dallas have after that? 3 great tight ends. Hendershot comes back this week. So I'm going to go triple touchdowns, Hendershot, Ferguson, and Schoonmaker. That throws 3 touchdowns to every fucking tight end out there. It's tight end time. Dallas, tight end.
Tight end day?
Tight end day, baby. 3 TDs.
Tight end Sunday?
All tight ends. And on the show, I said even a Rico touchdown because I think
nice.
I'm going to go, you know what? No, Dave, you know what? I'm going to give on this show here, I'm going to go 3 touchdowns, all to a tight end. 3 touchdowns, 1 to each.
I could see that.
Where's we're going to go. Brian says, I agree with this one too. Bird's got to establish run. Gainwell, Swift need to be moving the sticks. Joe, let me ask you real quick. I told Dave this last night. I don't understand this. Give me your situation with your philosophy on this one. The Eagles have a top 2 offensive line in the NFL, hands down, okay? Why don't they run up the middle with this offensive line? Now, I said DeAndre Swift is more of a bounce out outside the tackle runner. Why, with this physical line, why aren't they pounding the ball with DeAndre Swift through the tackles? Is it because DeAndre doesn't want to go there? Or what the hell is it? What is it, Joe?
I think that's part of it. I think the other thing is too, the Eagles lost. The Eagles lost Sayamalu in the offseason. Mm-hmm. Now Juergens, by most accounts, a lot of people said Juergens played well in the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. Juergens and the Eagles were rushing. Week 2 they rushed for 200 yards versus Minnesota. The following week they rushed for a lot of yards. Well, Juergens got hurt the first Washington game, and he missed about 4 or 5 weeks. And ever since then, the O-line went down. Now, Juergens has come back, but I don't think he's been playing at the level that he played back earlier in the year. And I think the combination of losing Sayamalu and Juergens not being as effective, and also DeAndre Swift does. And one of the criticisms of him when he played for Detroit, and he's been better with the Eagles, but he used to bounce everything outside. That was one of the criticisms of him. And the other thing is, Gainwell's not the biggest guy either. I mean, I think that's one problem the Eagles got. Like, I don't know, they went out and they signed Rashad Penny. He can't even sniff the field. Like, to me, I feel like they need a guy with a little bit of like bulk to him to maybe pound the rock up the middle.
And that's one scary thing when, Derrick Henry's on the market, people were asking about him. I was in the back of my mind saying like, oh shit, if the Eagles got him, that is the cure to the offensive running game. Pound the middle. DeAndre bounces to the outside, pick your poison, whatever you want with this offensive line. Because I told Dave last night, watching this offensive line, that going back to the game a couple weeks ago where Jason Kelce sealed that block where Jalen Hurts ran up the middle there for that last touchdown against the Bills. That offensive line is so athletic. I just don't understand if that's me in the locker room and say, DeAndre, here's the deal, man. Your dad is like, you benches 800 pounds. You can bench this too. Get your ass up and down the middle because this is what we need to win. With you running up the middle, we're so much better. Stop bouncing to the outside because we don't have that guy right now that can go up the middle. Dallas misses it with Zeke. Pollard's not the guy in the middle. Rico hits the hole harder than Tony Pollard in the middle.
Lately he does.
Brian says, got to step up the D to get to Dak. I agree with that. You put Dak in a position, if you're going to beat him, make Dak beat you with his arms. What he's not great at is reading progressions. Make him beat you there. So I don't know.
Lately he's been pretty good with it. So
yep. Rich says Philly needs to be aggressive on both sides, blitz the shit out of Dakota. I get that. I
disagree.
Too.
I actually disagree with that. And for what I grew up with Buddy Ryan Eagles and Jim Johnson, I never thought I'd say I didn't want to blitz, but I looked at the numbers against the blitz last week. I mean, the Niners, Brock Purdy had like 120 quarterback rating against them. I mean, unfortunately we are just not good at blitzing. I mean, we're just not good at it. And if we blitz Dak, I feel like you're just going to score faster.
I agree with you there, Joe, 100%.
I can see that.
Going back to game one where the Giants pretty much tried to blitz Dak, and a lot of teams have done it all season. They have succeeded a couple times. Our losses, they've succeeded with different blitz schemes. But when you blitz Dak, the last 4 to 5 weeks, he's shown legs. He extends the plays. That's something we haven't seen. And that to me is like, okay, well, you know what? He can extend the pocket too, something he hasn't done, which gives me better because Dak is better outside the pocket when he scrambles throwing the ball. When he's in that pocket, his percentage rate is lower than outside the pocket throwing the ball.
How many times have I told you in our past years, I said Dak on the run is better than Dak in the pocket. It's
now that he's running the ball 100%.
Well, I'm saying when Dak's running, he's more more aggressive, I guess the word is, or I don't know. I can't think of a word right now, but he's just that guy. Like he finds that receiver, he finds that tight end.
It's true.
That's the Dak we've been seeing over the years. I mean, that's what we want to see. Dak on the run.
What's your final score for this game? Before go ahead. What you're saying? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. My bad. I was just going to say, Dave, just to Zeke Elliott looks like he took a time machine, bro. I feel like I'm watching Zeke Elliott like circa 16, 17. He's got like juice tonight.
I played him. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
and Mitch Trubisky's like a turnover machine. My God, he sucks.
Oh,
well,
man.
How would you like to be a Bears fan and realize you traded up to number 2 to get Trubisky? Meanwhile, you could have had Mahomes.
That's true. Good point.
That's bad. Yeah, the Pittsburgh radio up here is pretty damn bad. It's like it's a comical.
What's the score of the game? I have no idea.
14-3 New England. They haven't scored more than 14 points in like friggin' 2 months.
They lost last week. What, 6-0? They lost last week.
6-0.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's bad. That's crazy.
Good.
Well, Joe, what about your final score? What about your final score this week?
As much as it pains me to say, I'm going Dallas 35, Eagles 31.
Wow, Joe, I'm shocked. I really am.
Oh, all right.
Listen, believe me, I wish I wasn't. I mean, I would love to come on this show with you guys, talk a bunch of shit, tell you how much the Eagles are going to beat your ass, but I can't with a good conscience do it. That's not how I'm
feeling. Do it, Joe. That's what it's for.
I can't do it. You know what I mean? I wish I could. And believe me, I'm
sure if the Sully squad was here, they'd be all over it.
Well, they view it a little different than me. I hope Yost is right, and and I hope I'm wrong because otherwise I'm going to be wearing a Tony Romo jersey to one of my next.
Oh,
I know, Joe. That's the one thing. A lot of people don't know this. A couple of years ago, Joe, I respect him so much. We're friends outside of here, of course. But this one year, Joe, I decided to make a bet, and I forgot what it was, Joe. What was the bet? Romo's duels. I forgot what the bet was.
It was the first Eagles Dallas game, the Monday night of 2021, and you guys beat our ass. It was like 41-13 or something. So I had that jersey ordered like the first quarter. You know what I mean?
Well, Joe and I have a bet this year.
Joe, I can give you a Miles Austin jersey. That could work for you.
Oh, man. All Joe has to do is come here and take his jersey.
Eagle.
He was.
He was. So I'm saying,
Well, yeah, Joe. I respect that 100%. Joe and I have a bet this year. Just whoever wins this game, if Joe loses, he's going to win the Tony Romo. I did order a jersey already, and
you did?
Yeah, I already did one. I already ordered one. I hate to say this, I ordered an Eagles jersey already, and
Who? That's
what I'm going to ask you guys. Who do you guys think I ordered?
Oh gosh. If I
Probably
had to guess.
Randall Cunningham.
No, I have the Pro Bowl jersey of that one. I
Is
wanted
it an old school or is it present?
He doesn't play there anymore, of course. Well, no, he actually. I'm sorry, he does. Yeah, actually, I ordered two because somebody in the family wanted one. I'm gonna.
Wait, so is he a present player now?
He's a present player now. Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
it must be Jalen Hurts then.
Who do you think, Dave?
Honestly, I think it's Dallas Goddard.
Oh, I know who it is. Never mind. It's DeAndre Swift because you're the connection you got.
Sorry, my fault.
St. Joe's. Yeah.
Yes, I had to listen. I can't stand him now. He's a good friend of my son, so I've met him quite a few times. Ate dinner in my house many times, but I had to go DeAndre Swift, man. At least I can show him love because St. Joe's Prep Saturday is going for their 6th straight state title.
I forgot Prep. My fault. I should have said Swift.
I had to get him. Rich says Kelsey was my second. I respect 100% Jason Kelsey, everything he stands for. If I had to choose a jersey other than DeAndre Swift, it would be Jason Kelsey 100%.
Joe, I'll tell you right now, if I had to choose a jersey, there's one guy I would definitely choose. But back in the day, we're talking back in the Eagles' day.
He's on my Cunningham.
His backup.
Jim McMahon.
Absolutely.
Oh, Jimmy Mack. Yeah, Jimmy
I
Mack.
love Jim McMahon. I am a McMahon fan. I loved him with the Bears. I was a fan.
The Bears.
Man,
how could you not love Jimmy Mack? Come on, Jimmy Mack was the man.
Remember what was that? Remember the Saturday Night Live? They'd be like, who's going to win, Ditka or God? They're like, that's a trick question. Ditka is God.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, listen, I appreciate you guys hopping on here. Especially shout out to Rob Maaddi. Please get out there and follow him. AP Pro Football Talk Podcast. Get out there and check him out. Great guy. Watches all sports, of course. And shout out to him and his family to have a wonderful, Christmas coming up as well. But Joe, when are you back on again, brother?
Monday night, the Sully Squad. Hopefully talking about a big Philadelphia Eagles victory.
I can't wait till you're back on, but the second part I didn't agree with. But anyway,
check out my man, the Sully Squad, 6 o'clock on Monday nights. Good show, very good show.
Yeah, 6 o'clock Monday nights, and then we still got to figure out, because I know this is the Cowboys show, so this is the perfect time to talk about it. We still got to get together to do that old school show because I really want to do that. We're doing 90s. And let's keep it real. You guys are my friends and everything, but I'm sorry, but I hate to do this to you, but I have to hope that your suffering goes a little longer. So let's at least relive the 90s.
So if we're doing 90s Niners Cowboys, is Deion a Niner or a Cowboy? Which one is he?
We're going to do the 90s era, like the Jimmy Johnson. Basically how the Herschel Walker. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can make the argument the Herschel Walker trade was one of the biggest moments in all of professional sports history.
Absolutely.
You think about it, right?
Hey,
the
Linda.
Walker trade changed the National Football League, and it also, you know how everybody watched it. You know how the draft. I argue that the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s, with all those moves and the Herschel Walker trade, helped make the National Football League draft as big as it is today. Because I remember being a little kid and watching the way that Cowboys team was built and watching the ESPN draft. People didn't watch the draft like that in the late 80s. It was mostly after the Herschel Walker trade. All of a sudden, every NFL fan was glued to the TV watching the draft. And a lot of that was because of Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson and that trade.
I heard somebody actually say that, Joe, that exactly what you said there. They coined it the steal of the century, draft steal of the century. A lot of people actually looked at that like they changed the draft with that. A lot of people didn't watch it. Now they do. A lot of people say with the Magic Johnson and Larry Bird era, when they were drafted, how they came in to revitalize the draft situation. That is I like that statement exactly how you said that 100%. Definitely do.
Listen, I vividly remember it. I mean, Mike, I was a little kid. I was like the 90, 91 draft. I mean, 1990, I was, I'm 45. So, I mean, I was 12 years old. I mean, I remember watching Emmitt Smith get picked and then the next year you watched it and what you guys traded up for Russell Maryland. And what was the story of the draft? It was, you'd see ESPN. Oh, let's go to Chris Mortensen. We got remember the War Room? Remember they used to show the War Room?
Right. Yes. Yes.
That Dallas Cowboys team was one of the first teams in football to allow access into the War Room. And that was listen, I'm an Eagles fan, and obviously I don't root for the Cowboys, but I'll give credit where credit's due. That regime, including Jerry Jones, really, really, really helped make the NFL a lot more popular, and including the draft. They really did.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree with that. I know the only person I think was pissed off about the Herschel Walker trade was probably Dave.
I was a big Herschel fan.
Yeah, since he's your favorite player,
He was. When he went to the Eagles, I was sad, but what are you gonna do?
You know what's funny? I know we're getting out of here in a second.
Hey, was he Minnesota first? I can't remember. Was he Minnesota first or the Eagles first?
Minnesota first.
Minnesota.
That's what I thought. Okay, I thought it was Minnesota. But I wasn't sure.
That's where we traded.
Well, I was went to Minnesota. Then he went to the Eagles, and he was rolling there too. So,
it's funny because you could actually do a show on guys that played for the Eagles and Dallas. There's a good number of them.
Oh, true.
Big names.
Luis Sendejas, Joe.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh man,
I had to bring him up, Joe.
Yeah, but Joe, we can do that because my football season's over. Of course, I got all time now. My nights are open, so whenever you want to do it, let's just do it and let's get it done. Hell yeah, I want to relive them, man. I'm 52 and I want to go back 27 years.
Yeah, those days. I was still in high school at the time, guys. I was only a sophomore in high school.
Yeah,
I just graduated high school in 1990. I graduated high school.
I was a sophomore in high school. Come on, guys.
I was at Nova at the time.
Yeah, and I know Paul. I know you really liked the one we did with the Villanova Wildcats one.
And the crazy story is, I was telling Joe, I told you even on the show, I told you before, 4 doors down from me. You know who my roommate, not my roommate, but you know who my roommate down 4 doors down was? Can you guess, Dave?
I forget who you said.
Kerry Kittles.
That's right. You told me that. That's
yeah.
Right. Very good.
He lived 4 doors down from me. And I tell you what, talking about a hype train with women going in and out, that was Kerry Kittles. Hate to say that, Kerry. I don't know if you're married now, but still, I'm sorry for saying that. But
if he's watching this, look out.
Yeah, he had different. You're talking about fantasy football. He had some different fantasies going on. His were a little. His were a lot more fun than hoping Zeke Elliott gets a touchdown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So him and Sean Kemp had something in common, huh?
He had a lot of kitties and caboodles coming in.
Yeah.
But all right, you guys get ready to get out of here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And Dave, you guys are going to be on Saturday night at 11 or 10 p.m., correct? On the Atomic
that is correct. Saturday at 10. The Atomic Drive podcast will be on Saturday at 10. Yes.
All right. So, guys, I appreciate it, especially Rob Maaddi out there for joining us. Great writer out there, host of his show, AP Pro Fan Football Talk podcast. Get out there and watch him. Joe Sullivan from the Silly Squad every Monday nights at 6 p.m. Also, the Old School Show will be coming back with that Dallas San Francisco show. I will be on. Damn, when am I on next time? I don't even know anymore. Shit. Wednesday night, that's when I'll be back with the 2.
Wednesday at 9:30.
Jeez, I get a break. Holy shit. I love
Or no, you're 8 o'clock. That's right. You got the college show, right?
Oh, actually, I will be on tomorrow night with former Eagles player Marcus Thomas. We do that round 2 this year.
That's right.
So I'll be on tomorrow at 8 o'clock, so make sure you check that out. So, gentlemen, are you ready to get out here? And all I got to say is fuck the Eagles.
Go boys, go.
Guys, thanks for tuning in to 215 Boys, the Sully Squad, Rob Maaddi. I'll appreciate you joining. We'll be back next time, and hopefully the Cowboys win in Joe's case. Hope the Eagles win. I can't believe I said that shit. But, hey, to each is all, let's get out of here, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Go, boys, go.